Developed infrastructure. This pillar aims at developing and modernizing the national infrastructure for the purpose of improving the quality of life for all. Development infrastructure means network infrastructure for water supply, wastewater, stormwater, and land transport to the extent that it is controlled by local authorities. Infrastructure can often be produced on a smaller scale by private firms or through local authorities. Also, infrastructure can be classified as soft or hard, and both are essential to the economy and quality of life of a society. This pillar aims to ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all, also to build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. Hello and welcome, dear viewers, to our program, New Kuwait, in which we will talk about many subjects related to our National Development Plan. Today's episode, we will talk about education with our guest, Dr. Nizar Al-Khatib. Hello and welcome, Dr. Nizar.
Welcome, thank you.
Being a professor at the College of Technological Studies, in this episode, we would like to talk about education, but your personal journey in education, because you have a PhD from the United States. Could you tell us your early days in choosing your major? How did you choose it?
Okay, when I graduated high school, I was faced with a choice. Actually, I didn't know that there was a scholarship system that can send you to study abroad. One of my friends, because of the high percentile that I got, mentioned to me, why don't you take a scholarship and go study abroad? And so, what is that? It's the first time I hear it.
Yeah.
So I go to the Ministry of Education, and there was an advertisement on a board saying that they want to send students. I remember it very well. They were for medical studies,
Yes,
engineering, and some other. Because I was from the science section, so I wanted to go to study medical school.
You're qualified for engineering? And
Yes, I had the enough percent.
Yes.
Back then,
It
it was 85% for
85%.
for medical school and 75% for engineering.
And
So it was very easy. It was.
Yes.
I had very high, so I qualified for both. So I want to consult my friends and people surrounding me on where to go. The medical school are in the UK and the engineering are in the United States, most of them. And they wanted only 50 for engineering and for medical school. When I consulted my colleagues and friends...
they wanted 50 in Kuwait?
For engineering. 50 for engineering and 50
in all of the school of Kuwait?
In all of Kuwait, yes.
Okay.
It's only 50 only. And of course there are other specializations, but
yes,
you know...
But this is just for the medical and the engineering.
English, accounting, journalism, they had many other requirements. So I consulted my friends and my father, my elder brothers. They said, go for medical school, most of them. And I wanted to go to medical school.
Yes.
One person who I respected back then, he was my basketball coach in the Kuwait club. I used to play basketball.
Yes, in Kuwait Sports Club.
He said, don't go to medical school, go to engineering school.
Why?
Because the school is only 5 years and you get a job and you go living. Medical school will be 7 years plus other 2 years. So he put medical school in a bad
image for you.
Image for me. It's like, why 7 years? You know. So I said, okay, I think I like physics, I like math, and I like electronics. I used to like. So I chose electrical engineering, and I took off for the first 2-3 months. I studied English in an English program.
Yes.
In the University of South Carolina in the United States of America. And then they gave us an examination. Back then it was called the TOEFL exam.
TOEFL, yes. It's still now.
It's still, but now they emphasize the other one, which
IELTS.
is called IELTS. Yes,
IELTS.
IELTS. IELTS now is more descriptive and more a better examination to measure the skills than
Yes.
TOEFL. TOEFL is a bit I don't know. It's not.
They say it's for the American TOEFL, but IELTS is for the British. Because
Yeah, IELTS is a British invention, while
Yes.
TOEFL is an American invention.
So
But
you took the TOEFL,
Yeah,
and you
I
did
did.
well in it.
the first. This is part of the very strong education that we had in high school. That imagine physics, math, chemistry, and English. The first year of studying, it's a breeze for us
Good.
because it's repeating what you already taken, but in English language. So I was like the king of my class in first year,
Yeah.
getting very high marks. The teachers very impressed. How do you know these stuff? And we tell them that we are taught that in high school.
But your English was not sufficient to do these things. But you did the English.
Right, right. 2 months was more than enough. We had problem in the listening part,
Okay.
but the grammar was very strong. If they give us questions, comprehension is very strong. We had a little weakness in speaking and listening. The listening was hard because of dialect, because of the accent. But that within 2 months, we were able to cover that and be very strong in that. When we got into college, that was January, I remember, because we had first semester of English. I took the TOEFL, got 550, which was required 500. I got 550.
Yeah.
Got in the engineering school. For math, which was calculus, physics, and chemistry, it was just repeating high school, only in English. So the difficulty was English-based, not math. So
Yes.
you get A's very smoothly.
Yes. That's
And English was okay. That was the whole first year. The second year, you're already being built for the first year. So I didn't have any problem going through the
because
college.
you are an excellent student, because you have a higher GPA in high school, and then when you went to study abroad, it was a piece of cake, as they say.
Yes, but I blame or I say because the education system was very tough. I mean,
In Kuwait, you
in
mean?
Kuwait, yes, the exams were challenging to the student. It's not about go memorize and study and
yes.
just come and tell
I
us
think
what you memorized.
nowadays we have problem with education.
Yes,
in
it's
high
much
school.
easier, much simpler. It's not challenging. You know, my daughter is studying now in Sharjah Medical School.
Yes.
She got 99.2 percentile.
MashaAllah.
But when she went to Sharjah to study,
Yes.
and she's an excellent genius. I mean,
Yes,
she's
mashallah.
very well educated, very well. The information that is receiving to her is very hard. And to me, that is the indicator. When we went to university, we were very smoothly integrated.
Maybe
Well, for her, it was no. She's being, she is challenged with the information. You have minimal level of knowledge, and there is a gap. And I feel it because I taught her for high school. The examination in the last year were very smooth, very easy, not to trick. And she comes and tells me, Dad, they gave us the same problems that we memorized.
Oh, the same.
The same problems.
All right.
There's no big challenge. I'm sorry to say that, but
Yes.
that's
No,
why
actually,
we
this is
have
the
a
problem.
huge success rate. But we have, and you can check that with the Ministry of Higher Education, how many graduates fail in the first year and come back to Kuwait because they were challenged with real education and they couldn't make it.
What about the choosing of specialization or major? You chose something you like.
Yeah.
Maybe because here in Kuwait we have something new. A lot of students, they chose the major just because it's a good salaries or good career. It has a prestige. Do you think that because you're an excellent student, you chose your major?
I don't know really how. I mean, I was
Because you talked a story of medical and engineering,
Yeah,
and
I
then
had-
you
I
thought
was-
about
right.
that I am a good student
Yeah.
anyway. I like physics.
But in the end, the choice was based on who influenced me, not my background, not my knowledge, not my base or what I like.
Yes.
The influence of a certain person superseded or overridden everybody else.
Yeah.
And even my own choice. I would like to go to medical, but I didn't. I still regret that decision, by the way.
You
Although
wanted
I
the
really
medical.
love my field.
Yeah.
I love electrical engineering. I love what I'm doing. But I'm like, I would have been a better choice for me because,
You still wanted the medical.
yes. My son, my eldest son, also have the same problem. He went to engineering due to some errors here and there, but he wanted to go medical.
But
in the end,
you succeeded in this place,
Yes.
and you are now a consultant for the Ministry of
Right, in
Energy.
electricity.
And yes, this is something you are a success.
Yes.
So let's talk about the students who came back from studying abroad, because as you said, they went there and they found out that this is very hard.
Yeah.
Cannot go there just to take an engineering prestigious job. This is a big problem here in Kuwait happening.
Yeah. Going abroad has many challenges. I think the first challenge.
Do you think we should test them before they go abroad?
Absolutely, you'll save them.
So they fail the exam, they don't go.
Yeah, that's what the last minister, Mr. Dr. Al-Adwani, when he was the minister, he established the national testing, even for the
This is
scholarship.
not implemented yet.
Not yet, yeah. But he made it into law. So from next year,
really,
from next year graduates are going to be tested, and that criteria will be
tested before sending them.
Before even allocating them which field they're going to study.
Do you think this exam will also get corrupted? There will be easy exam also.
Well, I doubt it. It's not about corruption. It's about how do you say it? Having a broad test to give everybody a chance to measure his own criteria. Does he have the qualifications to go in a field? Those examinations give you a chart telling you the strengths and weaknesses that you have based on what you've known and what you produce in the exam.
This exam is only for a bachelor degree or also master's?
High school graduates.
High school.
When you graduate.
High school.
Yeah, that's are you qualified to go in such a program? For now, what they do, let's say Kuwait University gives them an exam, entrance exam, and that is weighted for 20%, and the percentile from high school is given 80%, and they're combined, and then they sort you out to which area you can be allocated. No, the national examination will give you a real reading on where you fit, not just taking portions and allocating you.
Yes.
So that's the hope, and that will save many students the trouble of going into the wrong direction or wrong field from the beginning. People who mainly fail going in a scholarship and coming back, first reason is getting homesick, not being able to be independently living away from your family. That's the first.
This is the main problem.
Yes, psychological effects from being away, from having to deal with your own issue by yourselves, from eating to sleeping to managing your expenses, living all together, from being pampered by your parents to being, hey, you go do yourself everything.
Yes.
That is very stressful. That is main reason for going back. The second will be for people who not qualified to study the field. We have many stories of such students who had an easy access and they passed with high marks. However, it's not real of what they really absorbed in their preparations. And these tragedies, I think they're getting less by the time. They're getting, somehow they're filtering themselves out. But still, there are always these, let's say, things that go through the system that cannot be caught early.
Yes, and the system will have a lot of filtration because we have a lot of excellent students. They send them abroad, come back with
high degrees,
with high degrees.
With best.
We'd like to thank you so much, Dr. Nizar Khatib.
Thank you for having me.
You are most
Glad
welcome.
To be here.
You are most welcome. That was Dr. Nizar Khatib, and with that we conclude our episode. Thank you for watching.
Sustainable living environment. This pillar aims at ensuring the availability of living accommodation through environmentally sound resources and tactics. Sustainable living is achieved by making choices that aim to reduce our individual and collective environmental impact by making positive changes to offset climate change and reduce environmental damage. Sustainability means making choices today that will positively impact the planet tomorrow. It means thinking of the needs of the future generations by ensuring that they will inherit a safe and healthy planet to live and thrive on. This pillar ensures healthy lives and promotes well-being for all at all ages here in Kuwait.
Hello and welcome, dear viewers, to your program, New Kuwait. In today's episode, we will talk about the importance of legislation to our National Development Plan. And today with us, special guest, Professor of Public Law, Dr. Mohammed Al-Fahd. Hello and welcome, Dr. Mohammed.
Hello, and I am happy to be with you today.
You are most welcome. We are honored to have you here to talk about legislation. First of all, tell us about what is legislation in general?
Actually, it is important first to define the meaning of legislation in general. Some people always think that legislation means the laws that issued by the parliament. I think it is one type of legislation. In general, when we speak about the law, we have three types of legislation.
Yes.
The first legislation is the legislation issued by the Constituent Assembly, which we call the Constitution.
Yes.
This is the first level. Also, we have another level, the legislations issued by the parliament. We called laws.
Usually there are new laws, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And also we have third type of legislation we called decrees, which issued by the executive authority. So we have three types of legislation, and each type of legislation has its own rule and its own characteristics.
How strong legislation are? Can the National Assembly change a legislation from the Constitution?
Yeah, actually, we can define by the power. The Constitution is the number one, and the second is the law issued by the Parliament, and the third is the decrees issued by the executive authority. Actually, amending the Constitution is very difficult, as because the Constitution of Kuwait called a rigged Constitution, so amending the Constitution is very difficult. However, when we speak about the laws issued by the National Assembly, it's more easier and could be changed with the development of the state.
Yes, you gave us an overall look to legislation. Tell us about the history of legislation here in Kuwait.
Actually, we can say that, as we know, that the Constitution of Kuwait, 1962, the state started to have its own constitution. Before that, we couldn't have like laws like the modern state law. We have some laws could be similar to the current one, like the municipality law 1930. However, after the Constitution of Kuwait 1962, there was a very huge development in the legislation system. So we have the Constitution, and we have issued a lot of laws after that, and also a lot of decrees. Now we have reached a very high level in the legislation system.
Yes. To that level, tell us about the importance in our National Development Plan, which is 2035. There is a big importance involved in having the right legislation. Do we have the right legislations?
Exactly. It's a very important question,
Yes.
especially when we speak about the National Development Plan of Kuwait. I think one of the main could be obstacles and could be beneficial is the right law that help to in the development plan. So each state in the world have its own legislations. We can say the Constitution, also the National Assembly, also the decrees issued by the executive should be all maintained and keep up with the national or the national development vision. So sometimes if the state have a new vision, like we can say the Kuwaiti 2035, for example, there is a very huge development plan. The law should be changed and amending to keep up with this development. And I think,
why do you think that they need to change? Because you think that we are walking, but There are
Exactly.
some obstacles.
Exactly, there are some obstacles because the laws we use is
Yes.
a lot of the laws is old laws.
So we change them.
Yeah, old laws. Some of them
So
in
you
the
think they have to change in the National Assembly or?
Exactly. The constitution is difficult to change the constitution, and I think we don't need to change the constitution.
We don't need.
The good idea is the constitution give the headlines about the development. I didn't go deep in the regarding the development plan, so we don't need the constitution. All we need is to have a new system of laws, also a new system of degrees to match the National Development Plan of Kuwait.
Yes. Can you change a law inside the constitution? Can you change it actually or take it off? Okay. It's not possible.
No, you can't change the constitution. You can't change the law,
Yes.
but by the National Assembly. We have in
We
Kuwait
change the constitution.
also the constitution, but it is very difficult to change
Very
the constitution. And as I said, we don't need to change the constitution.
We can add to the constitution.
But yes, exactly.
So adding is easier than taking off.
No, it is the same.
The same.
Adding or deleting articles of the constitution.
Yes.
What I say is we don't need.
We don't need.
Because
We add laws in
yeah,
from the National Assembly.
our focus should be on the laws and regulation issued by the Executive and National Assembly.
So, Dr. Mohammed, in the National Assembly, when we add new laws, they don't be article inside the Constitution. Is that right?
Exactly. The Constitution is the different path. We don't need to go to the Constitution to make articles about the national development because, as we said, the Constitution of Kuwait is a brief constitution, and the Constitution rely a lot on the laws
Yes.
issued by the National Assembly, and I think it's a good idea.
Yes, because even to the average viewer, we have a lot of questions. Do you think is the Constitution laws stronger than the National Assembly laws, or they are the same?
No. The Constitution is the highest level of the articles in the state of Kuwait. The Constitution is the highest level of the.
So all of the laws inside
should
are very strong.
adhere to the Constitution of Kuwait. After the second step is the laws issued by the National Assembly, and the third step is the laws issued by or the rules issued by the Executive Authority. So we have the hierarchy system of rules. So the rules of the Executive Authority should respect the laws and also the Constitution.
Yes.
And the law should respect the Constitution. And like this is the system of the state. So we have the three levels, and
Yes.
each one should respect the hierarchy of the
Yes.
state.
Being a professor in public law, what do you think about the legislation lately? Because we started 10 years ago our National Development Plan, and it's going for more,
Exactly.
maybe 10 or 12 years old. What do you think about the timeline of legislation here in Kuwait?
Okay.
What kind of obstacles do we have?
Actually, I think to be frankly clear about this point, that we have a good legislation now to keep up with the national development, but we need a lot of work to change many laws, exactly the laws related to the commerce and financial situations, and also regarding the health and the education. So and also the environment
yes.
now is very important, and not in Kuwait, in all the world, like with the United Nations always declare and said that the state or any national development
Yes.
should focus on the environmental, like the environment, and to improve the environment of the state. So
Yes.
I think regarding the environment laws in Kuwait, we still need to change the law. We need to add more articles. On the other side, on the executive approach or the ministry, need a lot of work to help to improve the environment of the state.
Changing the laws or initiating new ones, why they are difficult to do? Because a lot of entities in Kuwait, Ministry of Electricity, in terms of environment we're speaking, how clear is our water, how clear is our atmosphere, like the weather. So all of these, it's very difficult to have new legislation. Why it's...
I think according to the system of Kuwait, it is not that difficult, but the problem of the members of the MB of the National Assembly themselves. Usually they consider a lot about, the political tactics, and take a long time. But when we say that the process of issuing a law is not that difficult in Kuwait, It's normal like all the most of the state of the world.
Because a lot of laws, in order to be added to the state,
Exactly.
a lot of entities they have to agree.
Exactly.
But in Kuwait, we have a lot of struggle
Yeah,
in making
I think one of the main reasons about that is you should have for the national plan a cooperation between the government and the parliament.
Yes.
You know, in each state, should the government cooperate with the parliament? Because sometimes if there is struggles between the government and the parliament, the main importance would affect the national development of the state.
Yes.
So usually the government have a plan, and the National Assembly try to help the government to achieve their plan.
Yes. So overall, the legislation here in Kuwait, you said earlier that it's going not smoothly, but it's
Exactly.
going slowly.
Slowly.
How can we make it go faster?
Exactly.
In your
I think we have committees in the National Assembly, and each committee has its own role, like the committee for the education, the committee for the
Yes.
financial. We have different committees. The most important thing is that the government should participate and try to stay with the National Assembly members in these committees and try to give them their goals and how they decide to make a new rules or a new laws.
how can these committee make a new laws? They gather and
The first thing is the process is started with the committee in the
Yes.
national. It's
then
they started with the proposal. Or project from the government. So the proposal from the National Assembly member, they propose the law and they discuss it in the committee.
And then they vote on it.
And they vote on it. We have another type. It's a very good type. We call it the project law, which is come from the government. The government could propose a law called project law.
Project law.
Yeah. So they have their law and they vote on it in the government, or sorry, in the National Assembly. So all these things depend on the relation between the government and the National Assembly. As long as this relation is destructed or something like that.
But it's effective, right? To have this project law.
Yeah, exactly. But I say at the moment, we can say there is a good cooperation between the government and the National Assembly, and hope it's continue in the future.
And hope in good legislation for our development.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mohammed.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are welcome. We are glad to have you here in the show. And with that, we conclude our episode. Thank you for watching.